Hi, it's Mr. Brough here. I just wanted to talk through some information to do with your coursework. Now, it's going to be quite hard for us all to meet in terms of coursework, so I need to communicate with you fairly regularly about things you could do with having a look at. So I'll set this on Monday, tomorrow, and I'm going to set it with a PowerPoint, and I want you to focus on three areas and just make some notes based on this clip and the PowerPoint. The first thing I want you to understand is how society was organised in the 1530s. Now, what's really important to understand is that everybody had their place in society. It was a very rigid hierarchy, and basically it went from the king to the nobles to the gentry to the yeomanry and all the way down to the labourers and the peasants. And everyone had responsibilities. And when you're looking at the Pilgrimage of Grace, you might think, how can it be that people lower down can coerce people higher up? But the reality is that people were conditioned by this system. And so there was an expectation sometimes from people lower down in the system that people higher up in the system would lead them. And there was an expectation sometimes of people higher up in the system that they understood that that was their role. So that's something to be aware of, that society was very hierarchical. And one of the debates about the Pilgrimage of Grace is basically, is it political? In other words, was it led by the nobility, or was it more religious and it was led by the commons, the peasants? So that's one thing to be mindful of. A second thing to think about is actually the geography. The Pilgrimage of Grace starts in Lincolnshire and then spreads over the River Humber into Yorkshire and then goes west to Westmoreland and Cumberland. You need to have a look at the map so you have an idea of the geography. It is a huge area of land, and you're talking about 40,000 people being involved. So this was a major rebellion across a major part of England. And then the third thing to think about and have a look at, and please make notes on this based on this clip, is about the clergy. Now, when we talk about the clergy, we're talking about people who have taken vows to work within the church, okay? And we can divide them into two. You've got the regular clergy, and that's the monks and the nuns, and they're called the regular clergy because they follow regulations in monasteries, and their lives are very regulated and they live a separate life. And then you've got the secular clergy, and when we talk about the secular clergy, what we mean is village priests, and they were very much of the village. The village priest would be down the pub having a drink with other people, and the village priest was really important in terms of christenings, marriages, and last rites just before people died, as well as conducting the weekly mass. So the clergy is divided into two. So when you're looking at the Pilgrimage of Grace and you're thinking of it as a religious uprising, it's actually an uprising in two different areas of the church, one being monasteries, which is the regular clergy, and one being fears about what might happen to parish, to village churches, which is the secular clergy. So have a listen to this, make some notes, and also have a look at the PowerPoint. All right, thanks very much.